Welcome back to Politics Unusual. I'm Morgan McKay. It might be hot outside, but November is really right around the corner in terms of the New York City mayor's race, which is why first up joining us today is independent candidate Jim Walden, who's discussing his run for mayor. Next, we're speaking with U.S. Senator Cory Booker about issues impacting New Jersey. And then we're checking in on the latest developments in the New York governor's race. But first, the Department of Justice announced it is suing Mayor Eric Adams, the City Council, the NYPD, and more, arguing that the city's sanctuary policies are unconstitutional. The Justice Department says that these sanctuary laws have made it more difficult for federal immigration officers to carry out their responsibilities and have put ICE officers in considerable risk of physical danger. So, joining us now to talk about this and his run for mayor is former Assistant U.S. Attorney in the Eastern District of New York and independent candidate Jim Walden. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it.
Thanks so much.
So let's start first with that lawsuit. If you were mayor, how would you handle it?
Listen, ICE needs to do its job in terms of getting at criminal migrants. We need them out of the city. The city should cooperate there. There are places where the sanctuary laws went too far. But at the same time, sanctuary laws are important. We don't want families separated. We don't want mothers taken away from kids. And honestly, I don't think ICE enforcement in civil proceedings is a great look for our due process of law. So I think that, as with most things, the president has some fair points. I think there needs to be an adult conversation to try to rationalize the way ICE immigration happens, and we can cooperate more and have more protection for the people that need it. Right
now there's a PAC general election, and you have said that you want a poll to decide who should drop out and run against a Democratic nominee, Zohran Mamdani. But as you know, the candidate in the race before, Andrew Cuomo, the polls showed him in the lead, and he ended up losing to Mamdani by double digits. What kind of poll would you guys use for this, and what are you guys thinking about with this?
Yeah, so just a little bit of context. This is not in my political interest, right? I'm polling lower than everyone else. I have confidence that I'm going to surge. But at this point, it's really important that there be one free market candidate against the socialist agenda of Mr. Mamdani. And so I left the details of the poll open so that we could have collaboration among the four candidates. But it would be a very significant poll. We're talking about something more than 5,000 New Yorkers. And we would have the details worked out to make sure that there was a selection of people being polled that mirrored the 2021 general election. That way we could have as much confidence as you can have in a poll. Everyone would get to run their race between now and the time of that poll, and then winner take all. That's the way that we protect New York against the socialist, because just do the math. If the free market candidates, there are four of us, split the vote, then we're going to elect that guy by default.
I know that Cuomo has also mentioned something like this as well, urging other candidates to drop out. I know Mayor Eric Adams says absolutely not. Curtis Lewa says absolutely not as well. But I know that you used to represent Cuomo back in the day. Did you guys discuss this at all? Have you guys communicated about this?
No. I mean, this was an idea that I had because I did the math, right? I was the one person that was not surprised that Mamdani won. We had predicted it about 2 months before the election. We saw what was happening, and now I can see what's happening in the general. And again, I'm a problem solver. I see a problem and I want to solve it. And this poll idea was an idea that I had, that David Patterson, the former governor, supported, John Catsimatidis, an important business leader, supported, and then only after that did Andrew Cuomo say he was going to sign on. I'm glad that he did, and I certainly hope that Curtis Lewa and Mayor Adams sign on as well, because at the end of the day, we should put our own political ambitions well in the back seat of New York's interests. And if the free market candidates are allowed to collaborate the way the Democrats did during ranked choice voting, then we will have an election where the free market prevails.
You describe yourself as the only independent candidate in the race. You have an extensive background.
Thank you.
Tell our viewers a little bit about yourself and why you're running.
Yeah, of course. So I came to New York in 1993, having kind of survived my childhood, slept on a floor for a year after I left my house the day after I graduation, worked odd jobs, put myself through school, and did really well through hard work. And and through opportunity that was given to me. So when I came to New York, it was really to reset my life. I was a federal prosecutor after clerking for a judge for a year. I had a great career. My work has been profiled in 4 documentaries and in 1 feature film. People don't know that kind of stuff about me because I'm not a bragging kind of guy. But for 23 years after I left the prosecutor's office, I spent half my time working for people that needed help, not for money, but because I wanted to serve. So indigent people thrown off the welfare, the food stamps program, the low-income housing community that had lead paint in their apartments. On and on and on, I did these cases because I wanted to make people's lives better. We have false choices that are being presented to us. We can have a vibrant free market and a robust tax base and have the greatest safety net in the world. And I'm the candidate that has a vision for both. I'm the only person talking about a program to lift the 29,000 kids that are born into poverty out of poverty through a specific program that's going to be funded by a much more robust development portfolio.
Now, you also just recently went skydiving, actually, to kind of amplify a message. So we're going to play a clip of that and circle back here in just a second. How was that? I mean, and what message exactly were you trying to amplify with that?
The backstory was that I was making fun of Mamdani a little bit because he jumped into cold water as one of his first stunts. And I thought, okay, I can outstunt Mamdani. But the point here is that it's going to take bravery to solve the housing crisis. It's going to take bold policies to solve our affordability problem. I've put the work into my program, so I know they're going to work because I developed them in cooperation with the business and the real estate communities. So what I was trying to say there is there's nothing I won't do to solve these problems. For 30 years, I've been a lawyer solving problems, and that's what I'm going to do as mayor. So I'm a little bit scared of heights too, so it was challenging, but it was beautiful.
Yeah, I would definitely have to be strapped in with somebody because I don't think I could actually do the jumping part. But you have a whole platform. You have tons of platforms on your website, and we dug into those a bit. And so let's start first with your rent policy. You just released that this week, actually. Your plan is to lower the rent for roughly 250,000 severely rent-burdened tenants. Now, that's a little bit kind of a one-up on Mamdani a little bit, who's looking to freeze the rent on just rent-stabilized apartments. But you kind of go maybe a little bit step further. Help explain.
Yeah, so the freeze the rents is not going to work. I mean, understand we've got a rent stabilization portfolio across the city. Most of the buildings were built before 1974, so they're not in good shape. So freezing the rents on landlords that are already struggling in Staten Island and Brooklyn and Queens is not going to help them. And freezing rents that are already unaffordable for 250,000 people is not going to really help them either. They can't pay the rent they have. So we really looked into the portfolio to figure out how many people we could help with a subsidy that was going to be based on a funding stream that would not upset commercial activity at all. And that's what we did. We realized that we could free up enough money with a very simple set of steps that don't need Albany blessing at all. We can do it from the city, and we can literally bring people that are paying more than 50% of their incomes down to 35. Now, many of those people are paying 65% of their income on rent. Can you imagine what that does to a family? You're a family of 4 and 65% of your money is just going to your rent. We can bring it down to 35%, and that's why Mamdani, he's got these slogan policies, but when you look behind them, there's nothing to them. We've got data, and we're going to produce results.
Now, you also want to do this by giving landlords a direct subsidy. How would you get this money?
So the money will be collected by 3 income streams, 2 belt-tightening exercises with the city budget that raises roughly $350 million, and then something that I call a micro-tax, which is on a whole wide variety of transactions, but it's less than 0.1%. So it's not going to change commercial activity at all. And with that money, we're going to lower the rent, but give the money directly to the landlords so they don't have to worry about non-payment, at least for that portion of the rent. I think that landlords are going to love this plan as much as the severely rent-burned tenants, and that's the way that I want to govern the city, which is not to choose one group over the other, but to find a solution that works for everyone.
Now, you also have a law enforcement platform, and you want to increase salaries for the NYPD. You're also proposing a new idea on how to choose a police commissioner, and you create a blue ribbon panel. So help explain how that would work and just how the idea came about.
So what we've seen over the course of the last 12 years, cronies being picked for jobs, and people don't have trust in their government anymore. And one of the things that I wanted to do in my campaign was to imagine ways to do things differently that will give people trust in their elected officials and their appointees. I could obviously pick a very qualified police commissioner based on merit, but I wanted to get people like Ray Kelly, the former police commissioner, Cy Vance, the former DA, a number of other people, Bob Ganley, a former deputy commissioner, and have them do a nationwide search for the best commissioner based only on merit, and then give me 3 names, and I would choose one of the 3. And that way people would have confidence in a transparent process to appoint these people, and it would give those people more credibility and more of a mandate. So I thought that that was an innovation that would help give people confidence in government.
Well, you have so many other platforms we could dig into here, including just opening up City Hall, anti-corruption. So we're going to have you back on very soon to talk about everything. So thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it.
I appreciate the discussion. Thank you. Congrats on your show. It's great.
Thank you so much. Coming up, we'll be joined by New Jersey Senator Cory Booker and touch on a range of topics, including the New Jersey governor's race and even the New York mayor's race. Stay with us. Welcome back to Politics Unusual. We had the opportunity this week to speak one-on-one exclusively with U.S. Senator Cory Booker about issues impacting New Jersey and even the New York City mayoral race. I just wanted to start first. You guys are considering whether or not you're going to be heading home for a recess soon, but there is pressure right now coming from President Donald Trump to kind of get some of these key nominees out of the way. What are your thoughts?
Well, I wish we would stay and work with the House to get some real things addressed. Unfortunately, people's health care is put into really a crisis state with Americans losing health care and the millions and millions are really affecting the state of New Jersey in a significant impact. I wish we would stay and talk about issues, debate issues around public education, around the challenges we're facing with the cuts that are going to really hurt our seniors. So it's frustrating to me that people are leaving and that the House has left. As far as Donald Trump's nominees, that's our job. I'm willing to stay and do the substantive work. My frustration is that the nominees they've been putting forth, so many of them are highly political people that have basically flouted the law. And we should be staying and debating those as well. So again, I'm one of these people that I'll work through the August recess if we have substantive work to do, but the people of America want us to deal with the economy, want us to deal with health care, want us to deal with the issues that are really affecting their lives.
Now, Senator, you've also just recently introduced a bill that would force ICE agents to identify themselves. What kind of support does that have right now?
You know, it's a common sense bill. We, again, in New Jersey know every agency from our state police to our FBI, everyone has to identify themselves. But now we have this kind of almost secret police-like where they're covered. They're not even knowing. You can't even tell that they're police. Now, right now, unfortunately, in the time of Trump, we don't have that much support on the other side of the aisle. There was a time, again, in my Senate career where pragmatism ruled. You could find people on the other side to work with on common sense things that will keep law enforcement safe and keep communities safe. But right now, we don't have that.
Now, the Department of Homeland Security has pledged to flood New York City and other Democratic cities with ICE agents. Do you think more ICE agents are needed in these cities? And if not, is there anything you guys can do to stop it?
You know, if the government's going to be investing, federal government's going to be investing in our public safety, let's deal with the things that most threaten our communities. For gun violence is a great example. The ATF agents that I know are telling me how much starved their organization is being right now. But the #1 killer for our young people in America is gun violence. So why are we taking away officers and resources to arrest people that have no criminal record, who often have American children or American spouses?
In New Jersey, you guys have a really big governor's race coming up. You have Republican candidate Jack Ciattarelli and Democratic candidate Mikey Sherrill. What are your thoughts on the race? Are you going to be helping Sherrill campaign at all this fall?
Oh my gosh, I'll be all over the state for Mikey Sherrill. She's this former military helicopter pilot. She is one of the toughest human beings I've ever met. She has been an extraordinary congresswoman. She's worked actually in the Justice Department for the U.S. Attorney in the state of New Jersey. We haven't seen somebody this qualified running for governor, this kind of heroic actions in her military career. And I think she's the kind of person that can bring sensible, common sense policies to the state of New Jersey, a kind of fierce pragmatism, balanced, centrist kind of person that can bring New Jersey together at a time there are a lot of people that are trying to pit us against each other. So I'm going to be out there for Mikey Sherrill, doing everything I can to make sure she wins in November.
And I know you're a New Jersey senator, but many New Jersey residents work in New York City. So I just wanted to get quickly your take on the New York City mayor's race and Zohran Mamdani's win. Do you think that more Democrats should be supporting Mamdani? What are your thoughts on his win? Will you be supporting him?
I need help keeping track of New Jersey politics. Your politics are even more complicated over there. I need a flow chart. People lose in a Democratic primary and running it. So I'm staying out of your city. I'm focusing on my state. At the end of the day, I want to see a great mayor for the world's most important city next to Newark, New Jersey, and really make sure that whoever wins, ultimately we can work with in a constructive way to advance the cause of our region.
Some Democratic leaders, though, have said, that they're worried about how Mamdani's win could affect Democrats nationally, especially as you guys look to try to take back the House and the Senate. Do you agree with that sentiment?
There are literally hundreds and hundreds of mayors of major cities. I know we got a big ego in New York, but the Democratic Party, I think, has a lot to learn. I think they've made a lot of mistakes. I'm one of those people that's trying to help redeem the party and show that we can get back to the basics. I think the Democratic Party is less concerned about the Democratic Party and more concerned with the American people, about health care, about prosperity, economic growth, pathways to betterment, education, and training. Those are the things our party needs to get back to focusing on. And I think it's time for a new generation of leadership in the Democratic Party, and that's what I'm going to be fighting for in my state. That's why I support people like Mikey Sherrill. It's what I'm going to be fighting for here in the Senate, as we see a lot of new, younger senators starting to rise, and that's what I'm going to be fighting for the nation.
I look forward to having you back here to talk about, what's next, and especially as you guys look to the midterms next year. Thank you so much, Senator.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to it.
A big shift in the race for New York governor coming up next, when New York Congressman Mike Lawler says he won't be challenging Kathy Hochul in next year's gubernatorial showdown. Following months of speculation, New York Republican Congressman Mike Lawler announced this week that he will not run for governor next year. Instead, he will seek re-election in his battleground House district in the Hudson Valley. This now paves the way for Republican Congresswoman Elise Stefanik, who has also been openly eyeing the seat. Stefanik has a close relationship with President Donald Trump, and some have speculated that the president might have pressured Lawler to stay out of the governor's race. Lawler said that he did meet with the president last week.
He did, offer that he obviously wanted me to stay in Congress and how important my seat is to the House majority. But he didn't get into that.
Stefanik says she will make a decision on whether or not she'll be running following November's election. And we'll continue to monitor several key races across the tri-state as we count down to November's general election. Next up, we're going to test your knowledge of the tri-state region, so stay with us as we take a look at some political history. Now, we're flashing back to this week in history. On July 24th, 1974, the U.S. Supreme Court ordered President Richard Nixon to turn over the Watergate tapes. Just weeks later, he would resign as a result of one of the most famous scandals in U.S. history. And now it's time to test your knowledge. Last week we asked you, what was LaGuardia known for reading over the radio during a newspaper strike in 1945? The answer, comic strips. Mayor LaGuardia famously read comic strips like Little Orphan Annie on the radio to entertain children who were missing their usual comic book fun. It was a way for LaGuardia to connect with city residents on a personal level while also circumventing striking workers and their demands. Now to this week's question. The largest cemetery in the United States is located in which borough? Now, don't Google the answer, but if you want to take a shot at it, go ahead and scan the code on your screen. That's going to take you to our website, fox5ny.com, where you can type in your answer, then check back here next week to see if you're right. That does it for this week's episode of Politics Unusual. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Morgan McKay. We look forward to having you back here next week.